O-kei.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to O-kei Podcast. This is Hayden.
And Kamila, finally coming back to you after a month-long hiatus. Before we catch you up on that, we want to tell you about who we're interviewing today.
Today's guest is Pepa Lee-Llobell, a makeup artist, hairstylist, and J-fashion enthusiast. Their makeup and hairstyles have been seen from Paris Fashion Week to the streets of Tokyo and everywhere in between.
Now focusing on freelance high fashion work and activism while working for Rebirth Garments, Pepa has decided to call Chicago their home. Their Japanese street fashion influenced style has been their signature look for years, and they plan to continue to shed light on these now near extinct subcultures while maintaining the notion of radical visibility.
Now, before we get into it with Pepa, let's talk about why we took that really weird break from our normal 45-minute to hour-long episodes. So the reason why we took that really weird hiatus was mainly because I was going back to California for summer.
Yep. And I was not going back to California because I do not live there.
So while I was away, we decided to just do our own separate things. And as I'm sure you saw, we had a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, we got to meet back up again at Anime Expo. And I was just like, oh, yeah, it's good
That
to
was
see
super
you.
fun. We had our little interview series with a bunch of different people.
Mm-hmm.
But now we are back together again.
Woo-hoo.
The dream team is back. And we're going to make it real. So to throw us back into our routine, the first thing we're going to cover is we're switching it up a little bit. We're going to talk about our local topics and events.
This month marks the 3rd year anniversary of Harajuku Fashion Walk Chicago. It's speculated that this month's meetup might have a swap meet aspect to it, but for now, that is still in discussion.
Yeah, it's super exciting to be able to be a part of the 3rd year anniversary, especially because I was not here for the 1st or 2nd year anniversary.
I don't think we really celebrated anything before, like the years before. So I was kind of just like, wow, we've been meeting up for...
It's been 3 years.
3 years, you know? And just like, oh, wow, that's like... Harajuku Fashion Walk Chicago is how I started actively dressing in J-fashion rather than just drawing it. Yeah, so I'm just like, wow, that also means I've kind of been dressing in J-fashion officially for 3 years.
Wow.
Which I'm just like, it feels like it's been longer. Like, I feel like this is my life. But,
meanwhile, this is, if I do end up going to this meetup, this will be my first Chicago Harajuku walk. Whenever there were other Harajuku walks, I was either busy or I was working. So I'm going to see if I could take a day off to be able to go to the walk, because that would be an amazing thing to go to. Have my first walk here to be a anniversary walk.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about what we did over the summer a little bit. We did our hiatus, but we also did a bunch of really awesome things. Kamila, do you want to start?
Sure. I started a comic, actually. It's a web comic for right now. And I'm posting it once a week on my Facebook and my hardtocora.com website. It's about this girl named Michelle who really wants to join this Harajuku-styled girl gang called Hardtocora. It's kind of like funny and serious at the same time. A lot of the different characters have... they're people of color, they're different sexualities, and of course when you have like a group of girls like living together and working together, there's gonna be drama. But there's also gonna be a lot of like fun and sisterhood. It's kind of like a grow-up tale, except with a Hardtocora girl gang.
Yeah, the art style is what you typically do for your fashion line, right?
Yeah, it has like a connection to the shirts, and sometimes you'll see that some of the characters on my shirt match some of the characters in the comic, and vice versa. I'll probably be inspired by the comic as well. If you want to get a better idea of what my brand is about, I'd say to read this comic and keep up with it. while it's still like up and it's still like for free. I'm not sure what I'll do after the first chapter. I'm still kind of like deciding, but I think it's a good time right now to kind of just, look at it, get a feel for what's going on.
Can you tell us when you're updating, just so our listeners can know when to keep an eye out?
Oh yeah, I update every Thursday, so once a week you'll get a full page. And I am working furiously to keep that up, because I have like a buffer. I do have a buffer of 3 weeks, but I'm also completing pages every week to keep that buffer, and I'm about halfway through the chapter, so you
Perfect.
can depend on me. I'm not gonna leave you high and dry. Did my first Anime Expo convention. I always wanted to go to an LA convention and have my work being represented there. I was working with Lolita Collective to sell a lot of like my items, and kind of like mostly I'm like Midwest, so a lot of Midwest people have my shirts and things, but going out to LA, that means like, meeting new people and
new demographics
and new ideas. So it was really inspiring to be there. I got to actually, me and Hayden, we got to go to one of the J Fashion like meetups that were at Anime Expo, and got to meet some of the community members there. I mean,
it was super cool.
You knew some of the people,
I know.
right?
I knew Monique through Facebook. It was our first time meeting, though. Monique is an active member in the LA Harajuku Walk group. Met other people like Tamar and Daniel, Sunny. We met a lot of awesome people. A lot of them were featured in the Anime Expo interview segment we have.
Yeah, so you should check that out if you haven't had a chance. So we got to interview them. It was
Saw
really
the
fun.
fashion show at Anime Expo.
Yeah,
that was
Galaxy.
so much fun.
Oh my gosh, Anime Expo had Galaxy and Listen Flavor,
Baby Doll,
AC/DC Rag, and the designers were there. I didn't get to meet like Listen Flavor wasn't at the convention.
Sadly.
I did, like the designers, but they were, but they weren't at their booth, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, we like got to meet them. Like I kind of like met them in passing.
Did you go to the Galaxy after party?
Yeah, I went to the Galaxy.
I wasn't there, so could you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, man, just recalling things from the earlier
from so many months ago. I know.
That Galaxy party was so much fun. First, you kind of like came in and like speaking to everyone, so it's kind of like speaking to anyone that I kind of like bumped into at the convention that was dressed in J fashion, which was kind of cool. And you were either trying to wear Galaxy to like represent for their anniversary, or you're just like decked out in like colorful fashion because you just want to like, I don't know, match the vibe, I guess. And it was like, it was a good size space for the amount of people there. The designer was there doing like a live painting that was going to be auctioned off the next day, I think for charity.
That's super cool.
Don't quote me on what charity, but but yeah, he was there. And then there was this really cool musician from Japan. She was singing over a song that she was also like kind of making and manipulating at the same time with like these different like drum machines. So she was like doing that, and I really loved it. Usually I'm not one for like club sort of parties, but if like I like kind of like raves, I can definitely like find myself dancing and enjoying myself there if it's a good DJ. And this musician really like, I was like, yes, dancing, and I fell because I had platforms on. But I didn't like break my ankle, thank goodness. And like everyone thought that I was like, oh, did Kamila get drunk? And I'm just like, no, I'm just wearing
Kamila just died. Kamila's dead. I mean, honestly, I think it was so hot that we all kind of felt like we were dead there.
Yeah,
it was ridiculously hot, as it always is in LA during 4th of July.
And it's 4 days. It's pretty intense.
It's draining. It's hard just being there. I was only there for one day for the fashion show and to meet up with Kamila and co. And just being there for one day, I got back home and I was out. I was ready to just sleep for the rest of my life. I went to the Fickle Wish 1-year anniversary party, which was super, super cool. They had a live DJ there as well, Slime Girls. The music was really fun. It was kind of like a networking, socializing event. They had got a bunch of brand new items from Japan. They had those up on the show floor for this event. I got interviewed by a reporter from LA Weekly, I believe it was.
Oh, yeah. That party was featured on LA Weekly as like an article.
So I have like one line in the article and it mentions the podcast, which is really nice and really awesome. So shout out to LA Weekly for featuring us. I say feature, it was more like a kind of a throw-in thing.
Right.
But I'm gonna milk it for as much as I can.
Out.
I know.
Speaking of Fickle Wish, they're starting to sell things online now.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's only like some select items. It's not everything in their store, but they are starting to sell things online. So that's pretty cool. They made the announcement recently, and then they're also looking for feedback on just like using the website for ordering, just like to smooth out any issues going forward. So that's some summer news.
So if anyone feels uncomfortable or can't find a good shopping service to use, that would probably be a good way to get around the shopping service issues. But again, they will only have a limited selection, so you might have to work with what you can, but they still have a really awesome variety of clothing items from Decora to Fairy K to Lolita to VK. They all have an amalgamation of different things. Yep. And last month, the reason why there wasn't like a new mini-sode up was mainly because I was in Japan for a while.
Oh, I loved hearing about this trip.
So I went to Japan for a full week and a couple half days.
Yeah, with your aunt, right?
Yeah, my aunt took me and it was just the two of us and it was an absolutely phenomenal trip. It was disgustingly hot, about 90 to 100 degrees every day with 90 to 100% humidity.
Did you dress properly? Did you have the items?
Somewhat. I wasn't expecting to dress for summer though. That was absolutely ridiculous. It felt like walking through syrup. It was so gross. I would come home and I would be drenched in sweat. I took 2 showers every day because you had to, or else you just felt disgusting and sticky. But I learned a lot of new things about the J fashion scene there. Got to talk with a lot of people, practice my Japanese, which was really fun. I got a yukata while I was there, and the woman who was helping me pick out my items, we started chatting, and I accidentally told her I was 90 years old. Jukyu means 10-9 and 19 in Japanese, and Kyuju means 9 tens, which is 90. She asked me how old I was, and I go, Kyuju desu. And we pause, and we both kind of look at each other like, wait, what did you just say? And I go, oh, no, that's not right. I'm sorry, that's not right. I'm 19. And then she called me a grandpa, and she laughed, and I was really embarrassed, but it was really funny, and she was cute, and it was overall a really great time. I went to Harajuku twice. The first day, I went down Takashitadori with my aunt, and it was extremely crowded, as in going 5 feet in 10 minutes crowded. You could hardly get anywhere in a timely manner because there are just so many people. But I went to Listen Flavor, I went to Liz Lisa, I went to Bodyline, I went to basically all the shops that were there. Then the second day that I went to the, I wouldn't say hidden areas, but the areas that are definitely not as crowded, like La Forêt, which is a mall that is in Harajuku, a very small one. It goes more underground than it does go up. So I ran all the way down and I went to Swimmer, Angelic Pretty, BTSSB, Atelier Perriot. Still not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. We talked about this before.
Yeah. And I can't help at all.
But I went to see all the amazing shops, and all the shop workers there were super nice and kind and accommodating, and they really helped me pick out my items. And overall, it was just an amazing time. I got to see temples. I went to Kyoto for a few days, and I went to Fushimi Inari Shrine, which is a 3-hour hike there and back. It was grueling, but so worth the hike. It was absolutely beautiful. Fushimi Inari is called the Temple of 1,000 Torii Gates because all the way up and all the way down, just the beautiful red Shinto torii gates. And it was...
Is it really 1,000?
I think it's actually 1,600.
Oh,
I think there's
okay.
1,600 torii gates
So it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, it really does. It was absolutely amazing. I had the best ice cream there. And yes, that was situational. It was hot and I had been hiking for 2 hours and it was the best tasting ice cream I had had.
I love when that happens, when you're just like so deprived of food or like snack or whatever, and you get that first taste and it's just like, this is the most wonderful experience I've ever had.
It was so good and it was so worth it. And that just about sums up the entirety of my Japan trip. I could go into a lot more detail, but we have a lot of other things to talk about, like the time of year that it is.
Oh, Halloween. Also my birthday time.
Yes, it's Kamila's birthday time. Super exciting. So we are definitely going to have a happy birthday Kamila on our Facebook page.
Yay!
But yeah, it is Halloween. It is spooky time.
Mm-hmm.
And while most people are searching for costumes, us people in the J-fashion community are looking for different ways to incorporate the season into our alternative fashion outfits.
This would be a good time to explore styles like creepy cute or menharake if you haven't already, since Halloween pop-up stores will carry cheap supplies for accessories or makeup.
And if you dress in fairy-kei or spank-kei, maybe try incorporating pastel versions of common Halloween motifs like bats, pumpkins, witches, cats into your outfits.
Yeah, Lolitas could bring out the hooded capes, black and blood red color schemes, or more witchy aesthetics to their style. I think pointy hats, capes, pointed shoes, starry prints can appeal to magic, whether you're in Sweet Lolita or Gothic.
And I'm going to throw in a little shout out to Moss Badger.
Ooh, yeah.
Jordana, the creator of Moss Badger, was our first guest on the show, and a lot of her prints in her designs work really, really well for a really witchy, creepy Halloween aesthetic. So go check her out. Also, Angelic Pretty is releasing a new print perfect for this time of year. It's called Halloween Treat. Sadly, they have sold out of the lavender print, but they still have the black and white styles, I believe. On the print, it has pumpkins, coffins, crosses, candy, ghosts, bats. It is basically your one-stop shop for Halloween Lolita.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know some other indie brands like Voodoo Dolly and I Do Declare, they're coming out with a lot of different easily used witchy aesthetic that you can wear outside of that as well. I think Voodoo Dolly has like some white dresses that make me think of like Ghost Bride, sort of like if you do your makeup right.
Look into Guro Lolita, which is one of the subsets that is typically used for Halloween. You'll often see Guro Lolitas wearing eye patches with blood stains on it, like carrying scalpels and scissors everywhere. But yeah, it's definitely more of like the Halloween nurse aesthetic that a lot of Lolitas like to pull out this time of year.
As for Decora and Pop-kei wearers, there are hundreds of accessories at costume shops, from spider rings to pumpkin pins and everything in between.
So maybe try doing cords based off of the fall or Halloween colors, like reds and oranges for fall, or those spooky black, oranges, and greens for Halloween. And also, I was researching this topic, and I saw people using skeleton gloves in their Decora outfits, and I think those can really give a creepy aesthetic to any outfit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. My birthday's in like the Halloween month, and now I guess I'm going to do like a more of an uchi-kei style for the birthday / Halloween celebration. But before, I was thinking about doing like almost like doing the color scheme of a candy corn.
Oh my goodness.
Like I know it's contentious, but I like candy corns.
You know, we're gonna have to have a talk about that after the podcast, because candy corn is, I actually used to really love candy corn, but now it's the bane of my existence.
I think it's too sweet for my teeth at this point, because I feel like it's gonna make me get a toothache like immediately, because it's just pure sugar.
But I mean, isn't that just like what our style is? Like, we both have the overly sweet style, which is ridiculous to think that some of us don't like the overly sweet candies.
Yeah, overly sweet candies. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a great time to experiment.
All right, and now we're going to throw it over to Pepa. Hi, Pepa. How are you doing today?
I'm great. It's awesome to be here.
I'm so glad. We're really happy to have you. So our first question for you is, how has J Fashion inspired your makeup designs?
I think mostly because I started doing makeup because of J Fashion. I started kind of doing makeup because I discovered like Gyaru, and that was like a really intense like makeup look. I mean, like I'm talking about like really early 2000s like Mamba style makeup with like the really tan skin and like the white makeup, and that's how I actually started. Like my first attempts at playing with makeup were me, putting on my panda face.
Yeah.
And I think my makeup artistry kind of has always been revolving around J Fashion, and I did take a step back from being so in the J Fashion community a couple years ago so that I could focus on trying to, step back from J Fashion as much as a focus for my makeup and try to like learn and try out new stuff. But
Yeah, have a variety of influences.
yeah, try to like see some like outsider perspectives, because I had been focused on J Fashion for almost like 10 years at that point.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I was looking at videos on my YouTube. I have like videos of myself like doing J Fashion-y stuff from like 10 years ago.
Wow. You've been in it for a while.
Yeah, I know. So I kind of, everyone jokes and they call me like one of the OGs, in the community, because I've just been in it for a really long time. It's one of those things where it started with me so early on that like it never stopped. I feel like my relationship with fashion has always been check what everyone in Tokyo is doing first. They're probably ahead.
Yeah, they always get the new ideas before we do typically.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
there's something to be said.
That makes sense if we're like J Fashion and then everything comes
I
from
mean,
Japan,
yeah,
I
it's
guess.
only like logical that they would get all the trends first.
Right. In that way, if you're looking for that sort of trend.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I mean, everything that we've seen in, Harajuku for over the past few years is now coming to the U.S.
Yeah.
And it's all the stuff, like, I'm looking at the stuff and I'm like, oh, this is stuff that we were wearing,
Yeah.
maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. And now it's becoming almost like mainstream in the U.S. Like all of the like creepy cute stuff and all of almost like pop K stuff where like they're using all of the
like
bright colors and
80s
mixing prints.
throwback stuff. Yeah.
And this is stuff that, like in J Fashion we've been doing forever. Like now everybody's wearing fanny packs, but we were like the OG like, fanny pack and visor crew.
Right. I mean, that's even its own subject of people like pushing against that and being like, well, this is childish. Even though it's like becoming more mainstream, it still like has that touch of like, you're doing something weird still.
I actually just watched a video on the way here about how scrunchies are coming back in style.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were out of style.
I know, that's the thing.
I'm like wearing one right now.
That's the thing. And there was a man who did a lecture on scrunchies and why they became like something to be embarrassed by. And he said that it was probably because they were super associated with like teenage girls and like teenage sitcoms from the 90s.
Yeah.
And now since that they've become a thing that's like uncool, now they're becoming cool because it's pushing back against the norm.
Also, I feel like all of the children of the 80s and 90s are now adults that have money and can
totally
like, dress themselves.
Right.
I feel like I tell people all the time I am trying to dress like the middle schoolers of when I was in elementary school.
Yeah, or like even like your kind of like middle school dreams. Like I know when I was like in high school, I'm just like I wish that I could dress the way I dress now.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like finally able to dress the way that I always wanted to. So I think there's that sort of element too, like what you were saying about like we have money now and can dress ourselves.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in middle school, a friend of mine had these like little plastic clips that you could like link together, and I would always make chains, like how people people have wallet chains.
Oh, yeah.
I would make like a wallet chain out of it, and then a year later I was like, oh, that was like so childish of me. Like, I was such a scene kid. And now I look back and I'm like, where can I find those again? I really want them now.
Yeah. I feel like we were so innovative with our stuff.
Then like cultural norms come in and it's like, oh, I don't want to like do anything unique. But then you get older and you learn it doesn't really matter, and I really don't give a crap about anything else. And you're just like, I'm gonna wear the super frilly clothes that I wanted to, but I was too scared to wear.
Right.
That's what being an adult is like taking ownership of your body, your existence, your image, and the space that you take up and who you are as a person. So I feel like that's a big thing for me, is the fact that like I own this. I own my look. I own my representation. I own the way that I am seen to the world.
Right.
And that's a big part of why I like expressing myself creatively, because you get to choose. You get to be the person that you wanted to be. You get to, you know, like I say this a lot in regards to like the queer scene, because you guys know I do a lot of like queer activism lately, and I say that like we're trying to become the adults our 12-year-old selves needed.
Yeah, I could see that.
That is such a good way to put it, because now that I look back, if I had someone like myself like as a role model when I was younger, I probably would have been a lot happier in my like early high school years.
Oh yeah, totally. Just like the thought of adults like us existing is something, that the fact that adults like us can exist, and there's a world where like there are chances for people that are different, and like people that feel like they don't belong, you know, they aren't a part of like society. There is still like places for us to exist, and we thrive. I think that's a big reason why it's important for people like us to be so outward about the way that we like doing things, and that we're not going to change it. And you know, yeah, I'm an adult and I am choosing to look different than what society wants me to look like.
And to live different.
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of, I don't know, when I was younger, I kind of just thought, oh, I'm not going to restrict myself to like, oh, okay, I have to get a large home. Like, I guess like my dad was into like the finer things, and I was just more like, I'm just into like things that resonate with me. Like, it's not about like a status thing or anything like that. It's just I'm really into things being really customized to like how I live, or how I guess like my principles or whatever. I just want everything to be like small and me to be able to just be comfortable, and I felt like other people didn't really understand that. It's just like, no, you gotta want to be like a millionaire.
Yeah, there's this pressure to like become rich and successful, have all these things, and like that's, I have no want or need for all of that, you know. Like I tell people I'd rather be homeless and doing what I love than you know, work in a job that I hate, doing something that I can't stand by, and making tons of money. But I mean, that's two types of people in this world.
Right.
And I think, like, my personal opinion is, as long as you're doing something that you love, like whether it's a hobby or you can make it your job. I mean, not everyone has the ability to make a hobby their life, and that's totally okay.
No, totally.
But as long as you have some sort of outlet to make what you love and do what you love, I think you're in a pretty good place.
I just can't stand for people that like have fallen under this idea of, I just have to be at a miserable job that I hate, and then this is just what life is. This is what life is as an adult, and this is just what I should just get used to it.
Yeah.
No part of me ever wanted to settle, and I feel like there's a big societal expectation for settling as a young adult, especially starting in fields and stuff. I think we're expected to settle to be treated less, settle to be, you know, worked more, settle to be, you know, undertreated, overworked, still have to work tons of time to get that experience that gives us some sort of respect golden ticket. So finally you have some sort of recognition at jobs.
Or you never get that recognition.
Especially for us, you know, as like AFAB folk.
Yeah, you never end up getting the respect. I don't know if it's like what factors into this the most. It's just like, I dress a certain way, I have a very young face, I'm like short, I'm a woman. I just feel this like subtle like like patronizing and like talking down to at like different jobs where they feel like, oh, I can't like curse around you, or, and I'm just like, I'm still 25, guys.
I mean, for you, it has to be hard. I mean, like, you're like a business owner and like a designer, and like, you know, you are like a person, like an entity, and, you know, and people not taking you seriously has to be really shitty.
Right. I mean, like at conventions or when I'm talking to like-minded people, it's a way better experience. But when I'm like outside of that field, it's just like, okay, people are not understanding where I'm coming from or how much I know. It's very weird. I think having the fashion community and just being involved in that, like there's just a lot more open-minded people around, and we all maybe have that similar like issue. It's just like a lot better situation. But yeah, outside of it, it's like to be expected to like, oh yeah, you need to be working in corporate, or you need to be a lawyer, or you need to work a trade or be in the army. And I'm just like, not everybody can do those things. We were all born in like different bodies and different situations, and I'm just like, I don't think everybody could do those 5 jobs or something, you know?
And I think that with the way that we dress, where it's very out of the norm, there is that assumption of, oh, you dress cutesy, so you must be a cutesy person. Mm-hmm. And like, even with coming from Heart Decora, where your brand is all about taking no shits from anyone, it's ridiculous how people just project themselves onto us.
Definitely. And I feel like even though like in our communities we might be, I don't want to say experts, but like we know we have a certain level of knowledge, and people acknowledge us for the experience that we have in the quote-unquote the real world, the normal world. They see us, and like to them we're just like, why would you choose to do that? Whereas for me, when I did Gyaru makeup and got myself all dolled up to go out this weekend,
I
one of
saw
the
that.
nights.
So good. So on point.
Thank you. I like started using the like retired Gyaru hashtag. So people don't like think I'm back in activity. But you know, sometimes I become hyper aware of the fact that like to other people we just look like we don't know what we're doing. Like, do you think that looks good? I feel like is the idea from like the normative perspective is, do you think that's cute? Because like I'm gonna tell you that it's not. And like you choosing to do that is obviously you choosing a bad choice.
Yeah, it's like people see it as like cringy, and it's just like, we know it's different. We're not.
I didn't accidentally do this. Like, especially in the case of our styles, it's not something that you like. I didn't like accidentally fall into a bucket of hair clips and pins.
Right.
I didn't like roll around in my accessory bin and like, you know, come out looking this way.
Yeah.
It's
like
very...
obviously I'm not trying to dress like you.
So, and on that note, I would really like to get into this notion of radical visibility.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on it?
Yeah, for sure. So I first heard of this through Sky, the owner and designer for Rebirth Garments. It's kind of this notion of taking ownership of our bodies, and as people of color, as queer people, as AFAB people, as people with disabilities, it's taking your body, a body that society wants to hide, minimize the space that it takes up, and hide, and take your body and own it. So it's the notion that even if it makes them uncomfortable to see you, you can proudly be seen. So we do this a lot, especially it helps also as an identifier. I mean, the reason we met is because I was in an event dressed in a way that stood out, and you guys like came up to me and, you know, talked to me. So it's almost like an identifier, you know, you like dress in a way that other people know that you are
Who you are.
Exactly. I feel like whatever that means to you, whether it be like dressing in full pastels or mixing prints or wearing all vintage, whatever it is that makes you radically visible. So in my case, you know, I wear J fashion, but also I get constant dislocations on my collarbones, and I get lots of pain in my wrists. And one of the things that the health industry likes to do is hide things and make things very hideable. It sucks to like put together a cute outfit and then have to throw over like gross beige or black arm sling because you've dislocated your shoulder. Or it sucks to like have like a bad week with your hand and have to wear a hand brace, and it's like this thing that you don't really want to look at. And instead, you know, I take ownership of it, and, you know, my arm sling is like
Rainbow
Like,
animal prints.
Yeah, it's
I
like
love it.
like Lisa Frank inspired, you know, and like my hand braces matching, you know, with my rainbow animal print and my neon pink. That's like I try to like make myself really visible because like I said, I want kids and youth to see that we exist. Like I remember as a kid, I thought maybe there wasn't a place in the world for me. Maybe there isn't a place in a world for people that choose to be so different. Because, like, obviously there's alternative people, but there's still, like, within the mainstream. And I feel
true,
like
yeah.
when you follow
Or
us.
celebrity that's like really far away. I'm just like, oh, they have a lot of money. Of course, they could do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So when you choose to do a style that's like far on the fringes of a niche or a clique, and you present like its OTT highest potential, as if you're over the top, and you present yourself in a way that makes you happy and presents yourself in a way that's like radically visible, I feel like there's a chance that a kid that wants to dress this way will see you and be like, wow, there are people that dress like that every day and walk down the street and like have lives, and there are adults out there that do this and they have lives and jobs and like,
and they're successful at it.
Yeah, you know, like I feel like a big fear that I had growing up was I'm gonna have to end it. I'm gonna have to like break this relationship. I feel like my relationship with fashion is something that's like grown and developed over the years, and I've had this like constant fear that one day I'm gonna have to like grow up and drop it. Especially because I don't know if it's like this with any other style, but in Gyaru specifically, which is the style that I followed the most, and it's the one that's kind of has my senior badge on it. My super senior at this point. There is this big notion of graduation, and you know, when does your journey in the style end, and do you have to return back to society? And I feel like that notion has kind of died down a little bit more now, but especially in the Gaijin Gyaru community, I feel like the notion of graduating and retiring from the style is not as common anymore. But there's definitely this pressure of like, at some point, I'm gonna have to drop this, and I'm gonna have to go back to being like everyone else. I mean, we're living proof that we don't have to, you know. As, you know, some people love her, some people hate her, but I love Batty Winkle.
Oh,
you know, she's like 80 plus years old, and she's like, I want to dress this way. Like,
when I see like those articles about older women, say like with their tattoos, and you get to see them really wrinkly, and like, yeah, I can do that, and it still looks really good. The lady who has like the pink house and pink everything, and she
or
just
the green lady.
Yeah, the green lady. That made me feel a little bit more comfortable, because I kind of like felt like I just got into this. Some other people, I know a lot of people now like that start dressing like this when they're like 16, and I'm just like, I couldn't do that. Like, I didn't have any money. I don't know if anybody would have granted me permission
or like the resources
or
the
like
ease of finding the stuff.
Yeah, it's way easier to find the stuff now.
I mean, when I was 16, I was rifling through like magazine stacks that got delivered to my local like manga and anime shop to try to find something like lightly fashion related. My mom had some friends who were like, the dad was a soldier or something, and he was in Okinawa, and my mom would like make orders and like get them to get me like stuff, because my mom has always been super involved with my love for J fashion.
Oh, that's great.
From day one, she was like, well, if this is gonna be the weird thing that you're obsessed with, then I'd rather it be this.
At least it's not drugs, honey.
Yeah, I've interviewed my mom several times, like on like my YouTube channels and stuff, because people are always like, well, what do your family think? What do they think? I'm like, well, oddly enough, my mom was like my biggest supporter from the beginning, and you know, she was the one that was like, I mean, you're weird to begin with, so at least this seems like something that you can be weird and I can kind of be okay with.
Yeah,
I mean, in first grade, I came out like wearing stripes and polka dots all the time. And at this point, my family's just like, you know, this isn't a new thing. It might be a little more out there, but it's not new.
Yeah, no. And like I said, you know, being an adult, that is what really makes the difference in these styles. I feel like there's like a big separation, or I feel like there was was between like the people that were adults and like kids in the style, because like the adults could like buy the brand and like buy the stuff, and like the kids couldn't, whereas now like you go on Instagram and like they've all got all of the brand, they've got access to everything, they have the support, they are in communication with their idols. But I don't know, I think it's like a good evolution though, you know. I feel like it's great to see more people in the style. I like sometimes just troll through the tags on Instagram to just kind of get excited to see more people doing like J fashion, especially because, you know, even while I was in Tokyo, actually exactly a year ago at the end of September, and I was there for 2 weeks, and I was there doing mostly, really it was just like a long shopping trip, who am I kidding? But I was doing a lot of research and like work with artists and stylists and hairstylists in Harajuku and Akihabara to see where is the style going, you know, what is happening, what are we doing. You know, it helped me a lot with coming back to the US and kind of like starting and defining a shift in my own personal style. But while I was there, everybody was saying, you know, like the styles have all changed so much. There's this big push for westernized, homogenous fashion, you know, the
fast fashion.
The H&M sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, everything is becoming like beige on beige, like the monochromatic nude look is hitting Tokyo hard. You know, Kanye and Kim K, you know, the Yeezy like beige on beige.
Okay.
With beige slip-on shoes and like it's really hard, you know. I'm like, you see the Harajuku walk in Tokyo and there's like 7-8 people.
And that's like how it is here.
Yeah. It's sad, you know, and I feel like we all need to work really hard to remain visible so that
that's true.
The possibilities continue.
There's like more people that do it in Japan, but they post it on Instagram and stuff. They like more like post it, but it's not like they're gathering outside.
Yeah, there's been a big shift I've noticed, and I talked about that a lot with my friends in Japan. Nobody has to go to Tokyo anymore. You know, before, the reason why everybody was in Tokyo and why the street fashion was all seen there is because all of the stores were in Tokyo, and the only way to acquire the clothes was to bite the bullet, take that train all the way down to the city,
and
you know.
take the chance so that you can get
so
the
you
brand.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's when everybody would see each other, because everybody had to go to the same place to shop. And everybody had to go to the same place to hang out and be seen. So, and it was like the only safe space for people that were other. I feel like now there's a little bit more of an open acceptance of, okay, you're weird, but we already know that the weird exists. So the few people that exist now are kind of like holding on to dear life. That shift meant that everybody was ordering stuff online. They were posting on social media and interacting on social media, so they were no longer having to like do meetups and stuff. And also, I feel like because there's been that like opening up of society, it's less cliquey. These people aren't having to only hang out with...
It's less exclusive.
Exactly. You don't have to hang out with only decoras because they're going to be the only ones that understand the way you dress. You know, there's more of an openness and there's more of a cross-style friendships that I see now, which before it was very, like, subcultured and very, like, separated. Everybody knew, like, Shibuya was for the gyaru and, like, Harajuku was for the street fashion kids and Akihabara for the maids. And I feel like now each neighborhood has their 2 or 3 kids that still do some sort of fashion that hang out together, regardless of if their styles are the same. They're just like the people that are like trying to promote and continue the street style, regardless of who or what street style the nearest street kid wears, you know.
Right.
In some ways it's good, in some ways it's bad. Like, it's great that people have more accessibility to others and more accessibility to the fashion, but it feels like there's a bit of a fade out of like the old tradition of meetups, of Harajuku walks,
or in person, being like outside, or like just in person, like purchasing of the clothes. Like everything's online and you don't have that moment of like, I actually like going to brick and mortar stores more than ordering online. If I could walk to the mall and there'd be like a Listen Flavors store, I'd be in there.
Yeah. I mean, that's why like I don't ever buy any Japanese branded clothing online just because being that I'm not a Japanese sized person, it is always hit or miss. It's not like almost always, it's like always hit or miss.
Yeah.
For me, it was like really big to like save up all that money and go to Japan because I was like, is this one size?
Yeah, I get that.
True.
I was super nervous when I went to Japan over the summer. I was like, I'm not going to find anything in my size. And yet, here I am in my Listen Flavor shirt. And I think that's also one of the good things about going to brick and mortar stores and buying your clothes is that you get to interact with the people there. The shop girls at Listen Flavor were so sweet. And the one who helped me out, I was wearing a pink polo shirt and I slipped this shirt on over it. She goes, "Pinku to pinku wa kawaii desu," which for those of you who don't speak Japanese, it's pink and pink are cute together. And I told her, oh, thank you so much. I didn't think of it that way. Being with other people, you get to learn more ideas and it makes you think outside of your own zone.
No, totally. I think that's another thing that's lost is the shop staff culture. And that's something that I love about Tokyo is the shop staff culture is that you have essentially these social media celebrities working in your store, repping your clothes, putting together these amazing outfits that they post
I thought that
online.
was the coolest thing.
Yeah, and I feel like some of that gets lost when people no longer go into the stores. And my favorite thing is going into the store and seeing, you know, somebody super fashionable who I do trust and be like,
Does this look okay?
yeah, be like, what do you have in my size? Help me, you know, like,
Right.
you know what
do you
you're
think would
doing.
look good with this item?
Yeah, exactly. Or I'm like having a hard time finding something in this color. Help me figure out this colorway or something. They know what they're doing, man. I mean, like, they're literally experts. It's like something that I feel like I wish was something that happened in the US. I mean, it's hard with fast fashion and stuff. People at the stores in Japan, like at these brands, they are fashion consultants. They are brand rep. Like, they know their stuff. They know how to dress the clothing for those brands.
And just walking in and hearing "Irashaimase," it's just so welcoming.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're welcoming you with open arms.
Yeah, exactly. And they're so accommodating. I feel like a lot of people are afraid of shopping in Japan because of the size. Like, they think that like there's going to be a lot of body shaming
Or
and
like whispers, like
Baka gaijin.
yeah, exactly. Like people like really judging you. I feel like it's almost the opposite. I feel like especially when it comes to fashion, they want to help actual people that like the fashion out regardless. Like, even if you are a foreigner, if you're somebody that's like, oh my god, I love this style, and you're coming in dressed in like some sort of J fashion, they want to help you. They want to like get you to get the stuff that you want because they know that you want this. They know that you love this style as much as they do. I was afraid that like there would be this maybe like a little level of snobbishness from like the Japanese, you know, street fashion people versus like the gaijin coming in.
yeah, or like I kind of like feel like, oh, what if I go there dressed in like decora and it's just like, you think that's cool decora? That's that like American decora, you know? Like someone's gonna be, I don't know.
Yeah, but I feel like it's actually not like that at all. The only people that do get flack are like gaijin gyaru, but they're a special breed. And, there's a lot of drama with gaijin gyaru in Tokyo, so we get a lot of infamy
Oh wow.
because of certain ladies in our community who decide to act out on behalf.
There are always those certain
yeah.
few.
It's hard, you know, like especially with subcultures that are like dwindling like this, when a person gets recognition and they misrepresent your style, your subgroup or whatever. It's like so infuriating. I'm like, you're the person that they decided to like interview.
To crown, yeah.
Yeah, you're the
right.
person that is getting all of the attention for this. It's hard, you know, to like see somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing or doesn't represent the fashion well be seen as like, this is what Americans do with our style, or this is what Americans think that our style is.
Yeah, and it's just like, no, that's not, no, don't look at them. What would you say to J fashion beginners intimidated by makeup?
Like specifically makeup in J fashion.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that are just like, oh, I can't put on the makeup, and then they just like don't really want to like try it at all because they're just afraid of getting pushed back.
That's one of the things that like I feel like you're lucky enough to be able to practice. Makeup is much like drawing or any other type of art form. Practice makes, not perfect, but
Better.
yeah, practice makes comfortability. You know?
Yeah, I feel more comfortable, yeah.
Yeah, so what you might start as being really, really uncomfortable with, after a few tries, it gets to be more comfortable. And I feel like, especially with J fashion and J style makeup, a big thing is forgetting about your face. I know for the one thing that made my Gyaru makeup level up was, for a long time I kept trying to put these faces. Like, I was trying to do the makeup that other people were doing exactly how they were doing on my face. And I didn't realize that, like, that was just, I don't have the features.
Face,
I don't have
yeah.
the face. Essentially, what you have to do for these styles is build a new face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're doing Gyaru makeup, you're sculpting brand new eye shape. Your eye is bigger than your actual eye shape. You sculpt a nose shape. For a lot of Harajuku makeup style right now has the really heavy hangover blush, you know, like the really heavily blushed under the eyes. And I don't know, I feel like the big thing for makeup is try and try again. Do makeup at home. Take pictures of yourself. Like, you don't have to show them to anyone. Keep them to yourself. But take pictures and do makeup at home and just practice. You know, look at pictures of your idols. What is the things of their makeup that you like?
Yeah.
What could you bring into your makeup that you like? And I feel like that's a good thing stepping into a fashion is like finding a part of the style that you can include into your everyday life so that you slowly start having that as like kind of your everyday life, you know, whether it be starting with like a Decora pin that you put on your jacket and you wear that every day. You get used to having that on you and seeing that be a part of you. I feel like a big part of the fear is the fear of pushback, and a lot of that is because you're not yet comfortable with how you're dressing and how you're looking, and building confidence in your identity as somebody who is going to look and present differently is important. So starting little by including like small variances, like whether it be like just doing your eyeliner different, or just starting to wear pastels, or just you know, starting to wear whatever it is, that like including small parts of the style in your everyday style and your everyday life, so that you can build a confidence with the style before you try to like jump in the water when the floaty's on.
That makes sense. Someone asked me recently, like, oh, how do you start doing Decora? And I think a lot of it is like, oh, I don't have the stuff. I gotta wait till I get like 100 clips, and then I'm gonna start doing Decora. And I'm just like, the easiest way and the more like a natural way is to just like build up over time and just put on the clips. And like, because it might be more intimidating if someone just came to you like, all right, here's a box of clips, here's a whole bunch of colorful clothes you gotta pick from, go. It's gonna be easier if you just slowly build that up, because then you'd be able to know what silhouettes you fit in the best. I find that, I don't know, I'm not like,
And like even figure out like your style.
Yeah, your style. Yeah, like I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm not super into skirts. I always revisit it though. Is this a good idea again?
You give yourself a chance to second guess.
Yeah, I give myself a chance to try it out again. Maybe there's, you know, a different thing. But usually I like pants or joggers or harem pants or things like that. I really enjoy wearing those things if I can. I really love crop tops, even though that's not necessarily like, most of the time if I see pictures of Decora, it's like the t-shirt, the
like really big baggy t-shirts.
Yeah, really big baggy t-shirts and a lot of layers, and you're not really showing too much. Or if it's very K, it's more like you're wearing the t-shirt and the skirts,
bloomers.
Yeah, and bloomers and the stockings and stuff. And I kind of just do like, oh, I like joggers and pants and stuff, kind of like how Phoenix does his style, or I don't know, I kind of looked a lot at like Fairy K Boy or something like that, but
like
yeah,
genderless K.
Yeah, like genderless K. And
yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, okay, so I know now that
the boys
like,
with an eye of J fashion.
right.
And I think overall the introduction of genderless K and K-pop idol boys, like bringing makeup into their everyday routine, especially with Kim Hansel from Top Dog. He is like always streaming his makeup routine, and I think that plays a big role in helping especially masculine leading people or AMAB people be able to feel more comfortable in this.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like there's gaps in the community, and I feel like I want to welcome more folks out. You know, I feel like my everyday wear is no longer like one style or another. I feel like I've just kind of commandeered J fashion as a whole and just kind of I butcher it. And like I butcher it and make all of the online forums angry. We joke, you know, you have that party coming up, the space themed party.
Oh yeah.
So excited. I have no clue what I'm gonna do for it.
I'm still like halfway getting prepared out now.
But everyone, you know, I feel like my style is Space Prince Pepa, you know, like holographic space suits and it's like, you know, flashy spandex,
fluorescence.
Yes, I know. Oh my god. And so I'm really excited for that party because I'm gonna get to show some stuff. I think I'm gonna design a new outfit for that party.
Exciting.
I know. It's one of the things I actually was in fashion design school when I first was in university. So I'm no stranger to designing. So now that I work inside of a fashion studio, I have access to making all of my own clothes, which is
lovely.
Yeah. And
Are there
dangerous.
Like, speaking of like projects that you're working on, are there any currently that you can tell us about?
Yeah, I am. I'm working on a makeup class curriculum. It's going to be a sliding scale makeup class for trans folk. I'm going to be having like small groups, 5 to 6 people, and the older people that can afford to pay for more will be the ones paying for the people that can pay for less. I want it to be a safe space for trans teens to be able to come in and play with makeup without having to worry about their parents finding like a stash or something, or having to like worry about putting it on and taking it off at school, being lost about the makeup world. And I also want a space for older trans folk to be able to come ask questions, get answers without any level of judgment, because I feel like there's a lot of judgment for those two groups. As far as for the older folks, I feel like there's a lot of the quote-unquote not passing enough. I want to help people, not that I think that passing is necessary, but there is a level of safety that I want everybody to acquire by being able to, if they choose, blend in, or if they want to go incognito, for them to be able to like do that if that's their choice. And I want to be able to give those resources to teens and older trans folk who, I feel like young trans folk are like hip and out there and have resources and like, we're all queers, we're all great. But I feel like as a teenager, I wish there were more people offering me resources of just being able to like be somewhere with someone that was like me, that I could be like, wow, you're so cool, but also you're an adult. Some of the kids want me to be like their like naughty godparent, but I'm like, no, before class we are going to do your homework. Like, I try to like stress all these kids to like do well in their schooling, because I wish somebody had done that for me. You know, because I feel like a lot of, it's not talked about a lot, but a lot of, you know, us that choose to be in different styles tend to be neurodivergent to begin with, or have some sort of like the intersectionality of like style and gender expression and personal expression and all that, I feel like is very interesting. So many queer alternative fashion folks, or like people that are on the LGBT spectrum in some way, shape, or form, that are also in alternative fashions, because I feel like we're just more open-minded to begin with.
Can you tell us about Rebirth Garments for those who aren't familiar?
Yeah, for sure. So Rebirth Garments is a clothing brand by Sky Kubaku. It is a clothing line made for the full spectrum of size, gender, and ability.
Beautiful.
So all of the clothes are custom made to your measurements, and and every single person goes through an interview questionnaire when they are buying their clothes, where they're asked, how can we make clothes more accessible to your body? What are parts of your body that you wish you could hide or show and highlight more? We talk about fabric choices, colors. Do seams itch you against your skin? You know, do you have any scent needs, dye needs, stuff like that? As well as all of our clothes are unisex in a way, in the sense that like anyone can wear them. We work really hard to just create radical visibility for the queer crip spectrum. So the intersectionality of LGBT and disabled folks is kind of our main focus. People who are kind of left on the fringe and on the edges and the outskirts of both communities. So yeah, we work hard to garment and normalize human bodies.
That is so wonderful. Just like hearing that, I took a look at the clothing on Instagram and I recognized it. Before I knew you, I've heard of like rebirth garments. I was like, oh, I saw this before, and I was like saving it, being like, I want to get a thing like this. Like, I really liked some of the clothes that would open up the chest, and then so you would have like your nipple showing.
Yeah, free the nipple. Yeah,
free the nipple.
The free the nipple shirt.
Or like having a sleeve
armpit.
with the armpit.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
it's
yes.
free the armpit.
Yes, because a lot of times, like, I'm not that into like shaving my underarms, but I also feel like covering them at the same time. It's just like, oh man, it comes to me like wearing a swimsuit. Do I shave my underarms now or do I not? And like that kind of top made it feel like this is how this is supposed to be worn.
Yeah.
You know, instead of feeling like you have this other picture in your head with other sleeveless clothes.
Yeah.
So I really like that Rebirth Garments like emphasizes the things that you once thought like you needed to hide or something. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, we do like everything. We do prosthetic aid covers. So like we have clients that come in with their prosthetics and we just make slips for the prosthetics. Sky has made covers for canes so that your cane is colorful.
Oh, that's nice.
We have a really big stress on fat folks mattering, visibility of fat bodies. Because I feel like in fashion, that's just a big thing, is that they like to act as though fat folks should just disappear or don't exist. Sky loves dressing fat folk because, like, it's, you know, they're the people that need custom garments the most because society just doesn't dress other bodies.
Right.
Other bodies meaning smaller bodies, larger bodies, they only garment, you know, a certain type of body. And that changes with what our, you know, society is into. If you look at all of the jeans right now, they're made with like a super tiny waist and like a huge butt and then like tiny legs.
Yeah.
Because like the current societal standard, but like not everybody looks like a Coke bottle, you know?
That's true. With skirts, sometimes they have that whole thing with like, I don't have that silhouette where I have like the hourglass shape that everybody's doing, and I'm just like, I don't have this. So like high-waisted skirts don't work on me as well. Like that kind of I'm short, making me shorter. Like maxi dresses and like just a lot of things that like emphasize that shape right now.
If only, you know, like it was more accessible for everybody to get clothing custom made. Sky makes everything like really accessible, and their stuff is like pretty affordable, and we do lots of stuff for sliding scale teens, and we have like programs where people almost buy like a subscription, and when you like buy something you can purchase a similar item for one of our like donation.
Wow, Rebirth Garments has a lot of great stuff going on.
We're working really hard. I do all of the makeup for them now, and we have a show at the Mid October 14th. It'll be a sensory and developmental disabilities quote-unquote club night. The Mid will have a special event for us, and it'll be super sensitivities and disability access friendly. It's going to be the first of Sky's Disability Club series. We're working really hard to get clubs and party spaces to be more access friendly, whether it be with ramps and bathroom access, or it be with the limited use of flashing lights and smoke, so that all of our friends can come to parties and stuff. There are different ways of making parties fun that don't exclude people because of our sensory needs. trying to build spaces for people to be able to enjoy themselves in regardless of their level of ability is a big thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate you sitting down with us and talking about all of this.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Do you have any social media tags or anything?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Instagram at Pepa Lee-Llobell, MUA. That is PepaLobbellMUA. And all of the links to all of my other social media are linked there. And that is also my same username for YouTube. If you guys want to look up my YouTube channel, I do have a little bit of stuff on there as well. You can find all of my makeup on Rebirth Garments website and Facebook. So if you guys want to look more into me, that's kind of where you can find me.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was wonderful.
And that wraps up this episode of O-kei Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are so happy to be back, and we'll see you next month with another new episode. Bye-bye.